Years ago, far from the noise of cities beyond the last fading road, there stood a small, weathered house on the edge of a vast, untamed wilderness. The land stretched endlessly, golden grass dancing in the wind, broken only by scattered trees and distant hills. It was a place where silence wasn't empty, it was alive. And in that quiet world lived an old woman. She had no family left, no children, no husband, no one who came to visit, only memories and the soft whisper of the wind that kept her company. But one day, everything changed. Sheaf of rice the discovery. It was early morning. The sky still carried the soft blue of dawn, and a cool breeze moved gently through the tall grass. The woman stepped outside her home, carrying a small basket, as she did every day. But then she heard it. A faint sound, weak, broken, almost like a cry. She stopped, listened carefully. There was again a soft, trembling whimper. Her heart tightened. Slowly, she followed the sound, pushing through the tall grass until she reached a small clearing. And there she saw it, a tiny lion cub, alone, shivering, barely breathing. His golden fur was dusty and dull, his ribs faintly visible beneath his fragile body. He was too young to survive on his own, too weak to run, too alone to live. For a moment, she just stood there, because she knew this wasn't just an animal. This was danger. This was something that would one day become powerful, unpredictable, wild. But then, the cub let out one more soft cry, and that was enough. She gently bent down and picked him up. House with garden, a new beginning. Back at her home, she wrapped the cub in an old wool blanket. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from urgency. She warmed milk, carefully feeding him drop by drop. At first, he barely responded, but slowly, life returned. His tiny body relaxed. His breathing steadied. And for the first time, he slept peacefully. That night, she sat beside him, watching over him as if he were her own child. She didn't sleep. She didn't move. She just stayed, because something inside her had changed. A bond had formed, and from that moment on, she was no longer alone. Paw prints naming him Elias. Days turned into weeks. The cub grew stronger. His eyes opened wider, filled with curiosity instead of fear. He began to move, to play, to explore. And one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold, she smiled softly and said, "Elias." That was his name, Elias. And somehow, he responded, "Man standing, the ranger arrives." Not far from that land, a wildlife ranger patrolled the region. His name was Elias too, though most people simply called him the ranger. He had spent years studying lions. He knew their behavior, their instincts, their power. And one day, while tracking movement patterns, he noticed something unusual near the old woman's property. Large paw prints, too close to human habitation, too consistent. His instincts told him something wasn't right. So he drove out to investigate. Flushed-faced the impossible sight. When he arrived, he expected chaos, blood, destruction. But what he saw stopped him in his tracks. The old woman sat on her porch, gently rocking back and forth. And resting across her lap was a lion cub, calm, relaxed, purring softly. The ranger couldn't believe it. He stepped forward carefully. "You don't understand what you're doing," he warned. "That's not a pet. That's a predator." But the woman just smiled. She stroked the cub's head and replied softly, "He's not a predator. He's my child." Hourglass not done. Time passes. Months turned into years. Elias grew and grew and grew. His paws became massive, his muscles thick and powerful. His mane began to form, a dark crown framing his face. He was no longer small, no longer harmless. He was becoming what nature intended, a king. Yet around her, he remained gentle. He walked beside her slowly, careful not to hurt her. He played like a giant kitten. He rested at her feet every night. To her, nothing had changed. But to the ranger, everything had. Warning the warning. The ranger returned many times, each time more serious than the last. "He's changing," he said. "He's not the same anymore. He needs space. He needs the wild." But the woman refused. Tears filled her eyes. "I raise him," she whispered. He would never hurt me. The ranger wanted to believe her, but he knew better. Because instinct always wins. Cloud with lightning the night, everything changed. Then came the storm. The sky turned dark purple. The wind howled through the grass. The air felt wrong. The ranger sat in his vehicle nearby, watching, waiting, because deep down, he knew something was about to happen. Me Tombone, the final moment. The woman stepped outside, carrying food. She called out gently, "Elias." The lion stood up, slowly, silently. Something was different. His body stiffened. A deep growl rose from his chest. Low, powerful, unfamiliar. His eyes were no longer soft. They were wild, distant, unrecognizable. Collision the attack. The ranger dropped everything and rushed forward. But it was too late. In a single explosive movement, the lion charged. 500 pounds of raw power collided with the fragile woman. She fell hard, pinned beneath him, unable to move, unable to breathe. She looked up at him, not just in fear, but in heartbreak. Balance scale the battle within. The lion stood over her, his instincts roaring, his power undeniable. But then, something changed. He looked into her eyes, and for a moment, the wild faded. Memories returned. Warmth, care, love, a lullaby, a home. Stop sign the choice. The ranger screamed, charging closer, ready to risk everything. But the lion stopped. He stepped back, slowly, carefully, as if making a decision. Not as an animal, but as something more. Chief Rice the goodbye. He turned, looked once at the horizon, then back at her, and without a sound, he walked away, into the tall grass, into the wild, where he truly belonged. Broken heart aftermath. The woman survived, but her heart was shattered. She sat on her porch every evening, watching the horizon, waiting, hoping, and sometimes, far in the distance, a lion could be seen, standing tall, watching. Sunrise ending line, emotional hook. Because some bonds are real, but nature is stronger.